It's Blondie on 101 FM and call me. Feel free if you want to do that. 3808 1101 if what we're about to chat about strikes a nerve perhaps. Joining us in this hour is Wayne Donnelly. Now, he's many things, including stage hypnotist, motivational speaker, event entertainer. He does comedy hypnosis shows, motivational speeches. Wayne actually fell in love with the power of the mind when he did a firewalk experience with Tony Robbins in 1996. That's a long time ago, Wayne, I have to say.
That's all relative, Mike, when you get to our age.
It is. Do you know, the funny thing is, you think 1996, that wasn't that long ago, was it?
No, not at all.
Yeah, it was. And since then, you've trained in hypnosis and neuro-linguistic programming. What is that?
NLP. It's, if you break down the words, neuro, it's the mind, linguistics, the language, and programming. So we're talking to people in the language of their mind.
And it's interesting, we were chatting off air about perception versus reality. People might imagine things, and the imagination is a very powerful tool, isn't it?
Absolutely. Einstein said that imagination is more powerful than knowledge because he used his imagination to create his formula, M equals MC squared.
Indeed. So, first of all, let's look at the comedy hypnosis. Most people, you know, you were talking about Australia's Got Talent, and you watch comedy hypnotists, and they turn people into this. People think they're chickens, they can eat an onion, and reckon it's the best apple ever. How does it all work? And when you watch it on TV, is it real, or are people are they getting drawn into all of it? Is it like some kind of mass hysteria?
No, it's real. It's real. And people can eat an onion and perceive it to be something completely different. Personally, and like a lot of people today, a lot of my colleagues will say, no, we won't turn people into chickens because that's so old school. That's something out of the
last year,
early
isn't it?
1900s, yeah. Although people still request it, because I open up the show for requests, and they think, oh, right, we'll get our friends turned into chickens. But there's so much other poultry to choose from. But it's a lot of fun, and reality is so plastic. We can change our reality in an instant, and that happens in day-to-day life. So if you attend a car crash, your reality can be changed pretty quickly. Or if you get a shock of some sort, your reality can be changed also very quickly. And in a hypnosis show, we're bypassing the conscious mind so that we can talk to the unconscious or subconscious mind. And that's when we can start changing things.
And when you've got people up on the stage, obviously, when I've seen many of these shows, you and I were talking about some of the people back in the UK that I knew. You've got a row of 5 or 6 of them. Is it possible that maybe 5 of them are going under, that they're being hypnotized, and one of them is just kind of copying what the others are doing? Yeah,
that can happen. So if you get a show, say if you get 100 people, everyone is hypnotizable. Because it's such a natural state. We're in and out of trance every day. We're daydreaming. We're not listening to our spouse when they're talking to us. Go off in a daydream. See, that proves it. And you drift off. So when people come to a show, not everyone feels like going along with what's happening. I run a few tests to see if people can use their focus and imagination, and if they're ready to do something different tonight. And even though they might show to themselves in the tests that we go through that they could do it, they might stay in their chair because they might not be extroverts. And some are, some aren't. And they come up, maybe a dozen people, 20 people come up on stage. We run a few more things just to see how well they can start getting into focus. And if they can't, I just ask them politely to leave because we want to have some fun. So we want the people who are going to be really great volunteers and keep them.
Yeah, because I mean, it's absolutely point. We've been to shows where you've got hecklers and whatever, and you know, you often imagine, why have they even bothered to come out? Why have they wasted the money to come and see a show if they're not going to enjoy it? But is it possible that some people genuinely can't be hypnotized?
I don't think so. People, like, going into trance is about learning to go into trance. It's like any skill. So if you can take yourself into a place, so if we're just thinking of the application of self-hypnosis, where you're looking at working on yourself to change something, the more that you do it, it's, I suppose, a bit way it's like any skill, meditation or anything else, allowing yourself to still the mind, that you can actually put in some suggestions to create the change in yourself, and that's something you can learn.
Indeed. I mean, it was interesting you were talking about sometimes the subconscious. I know when I drive from my home here, there are many occasions I can't remember from when I left and got onto the M1 until I got onto the Wembley Road. I can't remember the bit in between.
Well, see, your conscious mind had a break and your unconscious mind was looking after you. It knows how to drive. It knows everything about you.
Fascinating, absolutely fascinating. Tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to play another tune. We'll come back to you, and after that, we'll talk about the more serious, the more valuable uses of hypnosis, and in particular, the people that may come to see you looking for some help.
Sure.
So we'll do that shortly.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say.
Get this party started. I think we're almost there. You know, by 12 o'clock, we should be just about ready. Then somebody decent comes on the air. Joining us this morning on Logan 101, we've got Wayne Donnelly. Now, Wayne, apart from being a stage hypnotist, also does much more serious, much more useful, much more beneficial forms of hypnosis. If you may be struggling to stop smoking, or you're not happy with your weight, you've got various addictions, phobias, and depression. And Wayne, in particular, this is something you know about, because it tells me here back in 2005, you suffered a major back injury, and there was a threat of you almost becoming a paraplegic, and although the surgery sorted it out, what was left was the post-surgical depression. How did you handle that?
Not very well. It was in June of that year, and I had the surgery, and the doctor said, look, you know, it doesn't look like you're going to be a paraplegic, but you'll never use your bladder again. You know, it was pretty serious stuff. So I just fell into a slump after the surgery, and into depression. And just came to a place later in that year where I just hit the wall and didn't want to be here anymore, and it's not a very pleasant place to be. I got referred to a gentleman who specialised in men who hit the wall, using hypnosis and neurolinguistic programming. And so I was in the chair, I was the client, and came through that process. And, you know, initially it was 3 sessions to get me out of that slump and get me thinking positively about life. And then we continued now and again to catch up and do things as I was getting back, regaining the normality of life. And then he became my clinical supervisor, and he's still practicing, 75, wow. And he's going strong. Back down on the central coast of New South Wales.
So it's always interesting, because when people have suffered a trauma or they're going through a difficult period in their life, I'm always conscious of, you should never say to somebody, I know exactly how you feel. Having said that, you've got a rough idea how somebody with depression feels, because you've been through it yourself.
Yeah, I've got an idea, so it's very easy to establish the rapport and trust with someone, because they know, oh, you've been through that, and you've been through the pain and that sort of thing. So that you can, you've got that trust that you can help them further along the path.
So the first thing that somebody will do, and you mentioned it while we were chatting off air, you're probably not the first choice. I know, I'm getting a little bit overweight, I'll go and see a hypnotist.
Well, that's exactly right. No, you know, I'm not the first one in the phone book. So usually people have tried everything else. And it doesn't matter what you do. I mean, you look at the CSIRO statistics released earlier this week, and they were saying something like 20% of people who go to lose weight already say to themselves, oh, I'm going to fail. And with that attitude, you will.
Yeah, of course.
Because that's what they're focused on.
Wow. So all this negativity. So is that the first thing you maybe work on? And like you were saying, you need to find out what their motivation is. Yeah,
well, before I see anyone, I want to figure out or learn from them why they're motivated to create a change. Some people will say, look, I want to change. And then when I say, like with smokers, and I'll say, well, look, why do you want to change? When they say, oh, my spouse is nagging, my kids are saying I should, the doctor is saying I should. If they're not saying they're doing it from their own heart, then I won't see them straight away. I'll wait until they really get that realisation that they need to do it for themselves.
So that's the first thing. And you hear a lot of people saying that they're maybe comfort eaters, and I think a lot of that stems back to when you're a child. If there's some kind of trauma, your mum or dad will buy you a bar of chocolate, or they'll give you a candy cane or whatever.
Look, it can be so many different things, and they're used for weight loss. Quite often there is some sort of emotional issue, and I mean, we can hypnotise people to change the behaviour. And yet I don't think you're really dealing with the issue until you go down a bit deeper and work on the emotions. Because we do things and we make our decisions in life based on emotion, and then we use logic to justify it later.
And that's interesting. I can so relate to some of these things that you're saying. So I notice, apart from all of the other things that we mentioned, if somebody has gone through maybe a breakup in the relationship and it's all gone wrong and they're really struggling with that, you can help with that as well?
Yeah, I'm seeing a lady tomorrow morning, and she rang up earlier in the week and asked me if I could mend her broken heart. And
wow,
we had a chat, and there's some abuse leading up to it, so there's probably a little bit of trauma in there as well. It was sort of like a difficult situation.
Sure.
And so what I'll be doing, and what I've done with others, is help them to change their perception of that situation and release them from the attachment that they've given themselves to that person. And so it's just like eating the onion, only this time they don't want this onion. They're going to go and want something that's good for them. They want the actual apple. They don't want to keep eating this onion thinking it's an apple.
So a lot of it, the power of positive thought as well.
Well, we're going to reprogram their mind. But I just want to make sure that people don't think it's mind control, because that's a lot of people say, oh, no, you're going to take control of our minds.
Yeah.
And the only person that's in control of your mind is you, unless you give it up to someone else. So quite often that happens in authority situations. You know, you go to the doctor, you got school teachers, or you got your boss.
Absolutely.
You let them do some of the thinking when you should be controlling your own mind. So what I'll be doing with this client is to help them change the way they perceive that other person, so that they will no longer love them, that they'll be loving themselves, looking after themselves, and putting themselves first.
Fascinating. Wayne, I could talk about this for hours, but obviously we've got some music to play as well. Just getting back to some of the shows, I see here you've got a busy old date sheet. Surfers Paradise Golf Club on the 13th of Feb, and then a big one at the Southport RSL on March the 19th. So
looking forward to both those shows with a lot of excitement. The February 13th show, that's going to have a Valentine's Day theme. And if you're thinking Valentine's Day, comedy hypnosis, that's just going to be a scream.
That certainly is. I might actually have to try and check that one out myself. I noticed as well on your list here, New South Wales, Central Coast, Sydney, the Adelaide Fringe Festival. That'll be good.
That's going to be huge, because it's such a big crowd goes to Adelaide for that festival.
And Harvey Bay and Ailey Beach as well. I mean, you get around, don't you?
I do get around. And then there's Coffs Harbour, various other places. And I was in Evans Head last night. That was a great show, a lot of fun.
So I'm guessing you have a website. If people are interested in making contact with you?
Yeah, they can get on the website, which is hypnosis-downunder.com.au, or they can just look at Hypnosis Down Under on Facebook, and they'll find out some more info there. People seem to use Facebook so much these days.
All the time. Well, that's obviously how you and I got to do this today. Mate. So, and what I'll also do on the Facebook page is I will put up a couple of phone numbers if you want to make contact. If anything we've discussed today has maybe touched a nerve, which I would imagine it might.
Oh, look, it can so easily do it. And if I go back to that emotional issue, and just give you an example of some of the stuff. I had a lady eating, a box of packet of Tim Tams every night, and she was.
I can do that.
Wondered why she was putting on weight, and when we questioned her and really worked on where that came from, she said she didn't really want to lose weight, because if she lost weight, she'd get into a relationship and have her heart broken. So it was safer.
Wow.
To stay overweight. So once we worked on that, then she was able to create some positive change.
Wayne, we need to get you back in here again, because this has been fascinating. Wayne Donnelly, you can check him out on his website. We'll put up a couple of telephone numbers on the Facebook page as well. Good luck with this mega tour. Good luck with everything this year. And here's hoping that you have a big, successful 2016.
Thanks very much, Mike, and thanks for having me.
Streets are blue. Almond looks that chill divine. Some silk